But yeah, just haven't had a chance. Haven't felt like it. So also there's a deadline for the Content Cup. So I was supposed to film this already 2 weeks ago, but I've been busy. So I've been writing my master's thesis, and I got it today, August 22nd, approved by the first round. So I now have a presentation of it on 5th of September, and I'll be presenting it then, and hopefully I will be okay to graduate from my master's program. I've been doing MBA, Master of Business Administration, and I started doing it last August. So I'll be graduating in September. So it took me 13 months, and yeah, or 13 to 14 months with sick. We'll see when I graduate. The aim is to graduate in September. So, yeah. This is the Aalto building in central Helsinki, in Etu Töölö. I didn't study there. I actually studied in the Kajaani University of Applied Sciences, and yeah, my goal was to graduate as quickly as I can. I said we couldn't make it before summer, so teachers were on summer holiday, of course, so I couldn't graduate earlier, but that's fine. It's good to have that small break here. It wasn't too exhaustive, but now that work is picking up again, I'm trying to find time on like getting this done so that I don't end up dying on work. So this is the possible metro stations in Finland. We built in history ready-made metro stations so that we could just build the tunnel and connect these. So Helsinki Central to Kamppi, to Pasila, but it hasn't been taken into use, and there are parking spots if I remember correctly now. But interesting thing, like fun things in the design of Helsinki. Yeah. So yeah. It's been a while since I filmed, so now I'm again scared of people. It's fine. I'm getting used to it bit by bit, and yeah, I've been having a bit of a busy time at work. I'm now in a US-based project doing production level AI with the team, and I've been catching up on that. So this week has been quite tough to get started on the project, because the team has been working on it for 8 months, but like we're getting started and we're seeing good progress. So yeah, next week should be getting easier because the graduation is done and so on, or the paper is done. Yeah, so then Content Club for CNCF. So we are in the CNCF Slack. We're trying to become official, I think, but we're not yet. So you can join up there and find the monthly topic. And this month's topic was, when does the platform, or like, how do you cost optimize your platform? Like, when do you start doing it? What goes into it? When do you start like thinking about common databases or never? And what are things that you consider? And yeah, we've had few quite silent months, just like everybody's been on holidays, and basically after the holidays trying to build still. Yeah. We're working on building these platform engineering concepts, especially in the AI. We want to implement cost tracking early. So tags, for example, on components, observability like telemetry data at least, like how much are things going to be used. And this enables you to kind of get a view on what are people doing and how are they doing things. Because without data, it's really hard to do any decisions. And yeah, we're now working on actually building those metrics on our AI platform. And the key thing is looking at numbers early and understanding them so that like you can do decisions based on that data. So when would you start consolidating things? Like for example, do you want to have databases consolidated? Well, if your services that are built on top of this are big, no, because the cost of consolidation is higher than cost of like having them separately. Because if the database goes down, for example, it gets really expensive. So like what you want to do is create tooling that helps across different things and makes it more profitable to keep them separate. So let's say you're building very small services for very small amount of users, then you do want to start thinking about the consolidation. And I start by aligning what you're doing with by grouping those projects together, and then moving from having those having an infra code in their repo to having like Helm chart or GitOps approach by having a Helm chart there. So then you would just pull those charts you could just pull those charts and you would offer the database as a service, so then the teams don't actually deploy any for themselves. You're offering it as a platform and you don't have to worry about costs going up. So if you know your service users are going to be small, it's actually better to homogenize the deployments because it's cheaper long term, and then get the teams to deploy same way, same database types, and offering that as a service instead of the database as a service. And that way we can have a central one platform for everybody and get the maximum cost benefit. If we then again look at the other side of it, so how do we optimize for things? Like how do we find return on investment? So like that also depends on what we define as a return on investment. And what do we want to offer and how. That kind of tells you what you want to offer as a service to your users. And that creates us an opportunity to understand. So you can see that it's not an easy topic, and especially when there's a lot of people around and like freezing up quite a lot and then like losing the thought. But like ideology being, we need to start looking at the numbers that you're doing and like what do you need? What is the business value? So it's like it doesn't make sense to build a big platform if you don't have usage, but it also doesn't make sense to build a platform that like creates more costs. So I would understand what are the first customers going to be. Are you doing an infra as a service or a product as a service or app as a service? And then I would map those into the cluster and understand how do we make them work. And the key being finding common ways of working together. But yeah, it's not easy. I don't know. Like, do we actually know where costs are coming from? What are they going to be? And how you're going to tackle them? And like, when is the correct time? Well, actually never, because like if you have a growth on your platform and your platform engineering is creating value, nobody's gonna ask about cost optimization. So again, like if you can create business that grows and helps people grow, nobody's gonna ask you about how do you cost optimize. But the problem comes proving that you're creating value, proving that people are using you, and making things happen. So making sure things are happening correctly and pushing things forward constantly. And it's hard because oftentimes we get tied up into the engineering problems. So I've been stuck a lot of times in too close to engineering instead of too like business. Yeah, so it's a like it requires you to understand what's the action they're solving for, why, where are we gonna take it, and yeah, then when you start understanding that, it gets easier to actually work around it. I don't know. Yeah, it's and you can probably notice that I'm not really like it's a like I know, but at the same time like I don't maybe it wasn't a good idea to film today, but yeah, that's life sometimes. You have to start doing it and just get started. This is gonna be probably my worst video so far, but life is such. And sometimes you need to fail to succeed. I think the key thing here is to, when you start looking at it, looking at numbers or anything like that is not gonna help. Making it into understandable data is the big thing. So like, the successful data analysts convert numbers into understandable insights. So not metrics, not even graphs, insights. It's best if you can communicate to your team or your bosses. Why are you doing this? Or why is this critical? Why are we doing it separately? Or why are we putting everything into the same place?
Meni siihen ekan kerran vai laittaa ipeäksi.